Hey, what's up, guys? It is your boy Annoying Llama back at it again with a guide video for new players in Embers Adrift. If you don't know what Embers Adrift is, it is an MMORPG, a buy-to-play MMORPG on Steam. It's made by StormHeaven Studios. It's a small town kind of game. You kind of expect it. It's like an old school style EQ kind of style game that was released way back. What was it, like 2023, 2022 to 2023, if I remember correctly? But yeah, no, it's a very fun game. They've had a long way to come, and a lot of things have changed since people, whether you guys have played since launch. So returning players, this is definitely a guide for you too. And this is a guide mainly for 2025, and hopefully will last all the way even into 2026, and hopefully 2027. We don't know past that point, but I would say 2025, 2026. Now, the things we're going to be really covering is your class choices. We're going to talk about the combat, some tips when coming in and joining the game, questing and experience gain, dungeons and ember veins, gearing and stats, professions, alchemy, and other tips to look for. So I got a couple things to really talk about for you guys. So before we go any further, I just want to let you guys know, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but if you guys haven't known this, I stream on twitch.tv/AnnoyingLllama. So definitely get in there, have some fun. We play a lot of Embers Adrift, and so if you have any further questions past this video, then let's go, come on in. So yeah, again, twitch.tv/AnnoyingLllama. Come and join me there. And we stream every Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, so definitely come in. And one more thing, actually, I do want to mention is that this guide video is meant to be a quick and concise. We will go into deeper topics in future videos, like a class guide video, really going in depth into the, a lot of the points that we're going to quickly mention through this guide. So let's start. No more wasting time. Let's start right now. Now, when it comes to the game of Embers Adrift, you are going to be coming into a character creation, create your character, boom. But you're going to be also faced with 9 classes to choose from: 3 healers, 3 tanks, and 3 DPS. So I'm going to go a quick list of how the classes kind of work, what they kind of do, and kind of what you're going to get yourself into. Sorry, kind of stutter there. So let's start with the Duelist. The Duelist is a healing class. It is a fast heals, really great armor stripping, great damage buffs, and overall, like kind of like a DPS kind of healer kind of tank. I'm not gonna say tank. Oh my god, kind of DPS kind of healer. And like I said, they're really great just for like quick heals, get things done. The next class we're gonna be talking about is the Sentinel. It's also another healer, and it's mainly a main healer. So have really great group utility. Sentinels are also really heavy armor. They're like clerics basically. So if you like a cleric kind of like group here, main healer kind of playstyle, Sentinels might be really good for you. Then the third healer will be Warlord. Warlord are basically, actually Warlords are just like the bards of Embers Adrift. They are the bards of the game. They have bard aura buffs and debuffs. They also have a fear with them too, so great for a little CC for their class. Really great for soloing, but also like Warlords are just awesome as a whole. They also, again, they regen health, regen stamina, which is basically like mana in this game, so definitely look out for that. Now on to the tanks. We're going to be talking about the Juggernaut. They are, again, a tank class, and they have AoE tanking and also high damage tank. As in, they rely on doing high damage to really rely on their threat. But beyond that, they're really good for AoE tanking. I love Juggernauts. They're cool as hell. They even get an ability that prevents them from dying for like 10 seconds. So really great class. Definitely, if you want to get into AoE tanking, there you go. Knights are the next class in the list. They are also the main tanks and also have high damage mitigation. They also have a lot of good self-heal too. They're actually like the only class with a self-heal. So they got self-healing a lot for their class. So if you want like a paladin-esque kind of play style, there you go. There's Knights. But they're really great for, again, main tanking. Really great just for high damage mitigation. They're awesome all through. And the third tank we're going to be talking about is Marshall. They are, again, like I said, a tank class, and they have amazing CC, and also are a para-repost tank. The CC, they mostly just do root CCs, where they just kind of root, like, if you pull like 6 mobs, they can fucking like root like 3 or 4 of them, and then you basically get the other 2. They essentially are really good at splitting the pulls, controlling the fight, hence crowd control. And they are also really good with parry and riposte, because parry is already built into their kit, just as Juggernaut has damage and Knight has. They also have a block into there. Also, every class has their own like little stat that's tied to them. You'll figure that out when you get to the game, but mostly just gonna quickly go through that. But yeah, Marshall, if you want to play Marshall, they're awesome. On to Berserkers. On to the 3 DPS. So we got Berserker, Brigand, and Warden. So let's start with Berserker. Berserker. They are the bonk AoE main damage dealer, amazing AoE. That's basically what they are. They are bonk, zug, smack, slash. They are your classic warrior. Come on in. They are awesome. They're raising for DPS, so if you don't have a Berserker in your group, we're clearing ads. There you go. Then the next class, the next DPS class would be Brigand. They have heavy stuns, interrupts, and also amazing positional damage. Positional being a stat in the game that allows you to do more damage depending on where you're spacing. We'll get into more detail with that in the combat and positional gameplay. Then, yeah, they also have a lot of stuns and really good. And actually, I think the only class in the game that has an interrupt. I might be wrong on that. I think Marshals have an interrupt, but Brigands have an interrupt. And so mobs, when they're casting, they interrupt them. Really great to be in a group. If you have a Marshal and a Brigand in a group, you're as safe you can be. So Brigands, if you want to play like a CC kind of play style, there you go. And Wardens, they are the last class and the last DPS that we're going to be talking about. They have amazing lulls and pulling and have support utility. And also, they are the only class with the aura movement speed buff. And so, if you want a poison, lulls and stuff like that, really good at splitting pulls just by like lulling everything to death. And also have really great, like they get a little heal, but it's like a little regen. Great support, great little buffs they can actually supply for their teams. And again, they have a movement speed buff that's aura that goes to your entire team. And the Wardens are just awesome through and through. They're great utility class. So if you want to play some of that really like DPS support kind of playstyle, Wardens are definitely for you. So that's it for the classes. Let's move on to the combat and positionals. So let's talk about combats and positionals inside Embers Adrift. Now, as you see, I'm playing the game right now, and I'm going to show you through this dummy how the combat works. Now, when you fight a mob, naturally you're gonna right-click it and stuff like that to attack. But I've noticed that a lot of people actually don't know how to draw back their weapon. They're gonna see this and they're gonna be like, oh wait, I can't put back my weapon. And they're like, well, how do I move? And blah blah blah. Well, you have to unsheath your weapon, and you have to sheath your weapon in combat. Now, of course, when you sheath your weapon, that gives you, well, more like gives you a combat stats. Now, these combat stats we'll go into a little bit deeper, but essentially, you have combat movement speed, and then when you unsheath your weapon, you have normal movement speed. The higher combat movement speed you have, is the faster you draw your weapon, and also the faster you move well in combat. Now, that's a big part of the game that you kind of really have to understand. So in situations where, if you're a tank or something like that, high combat movement speed is really good because that means you can keep your shield out and still get to the mobs really quickly. Or for healers, to keep your weapon out, still kind of doing a lot of damage while still kind of getting out there and stuff like that. You can draw out your weapons a lot faster, even with switching weapons and stuff like that, especially with bows. Having high combat movement speed is nice because you can draw out your bow a lot faster and stuff like that to help with like kiting and stuff like that. So, but you get the idea. Right click the mob, use your abilities, very basic tab targeting, we get the idea. Now, when it comes to Embers Adrift, there's also a thing right down here. I'm gonna circle it right here. It's called Positional. So you see how I move across the mob. Now, one thing with Positional, it gives you different stats based on what weapons, depending on the weapon, it gives you different stats depending on which side you're standing on for the mob. So as you see with the staff, you can see on the weapon itself, on the staff, it has an up arrow, which means if I'm in front of the mob, I get plus 30 hit. And same thing with my bow. If I'm standing on the side of the mob, I get plus 5 damage. And then if I'm sitting behind the mob, I get plus 15 hit. And so Positional is a really cool ability, really cool stat, because we're going to talk about this more in the stat section, but Positional as a stat allows you to get more out of those bonuses when it comes to being in front. And you can see the math actually right here on the side, where it says plus 30 hit, but it also says plus 125% for Positional. That means the more position you have, the more it scales with it, which now brings it up to 70. You'll see it right across from there. It'll say 70. That means I have 70 hit when I'm in front of the target, and that's if I have more positional. That means the more hit I get, or if I'm standing on the side of a target and stuff like that. Because of the positional gear that I have on, I do 45. Oh, was it? Yeah, it says 43. No, 45 extra damage, and then I also do 47 extra hit when I'm behind the target. And you can actually see by hovering over, what the base amount is, but just knowing that you're getting a little extra bonus. And of course, depending on which side you're standing on, because that one's 125% compared to the normal 100% positional, you can see that it's better to actually just stand on the side of the target with this weapon and stuff like that. So I can just shoot it, and blah, blah, blah. So I think that's a really cool thing to understand when it comes to the combat. Another thing I kind of want to also mention is mobs will social off each other. So you see that big old mangrove that's kind of walking around there? Well, he's part of the mandrake kind of family, or essentially the blighted family. And if you try to attack a mandrake in front of the mangrove, and I'll pop a little bit of footage here, you will see that they will social off each other, or essentially attack each other because of that. Also, same thing with deers and stuff like that. If you try to attack a doe in front of an elk, the elk will attack you. But if you try to attack an elk in front of a doe, the doe won't attack you. And that's kind of, you have to understand the social families. So yeah, so it's definitely social, like socials and stuff like that when it comes to mobs. So just understand that when kind of pulling certain mobs will help each other out to attack you. So just be mindful of that. So with that being said, let's get into the next thing. All right, now that we got that done out of the way with the combat positionals, let's talk about the exploration of Embers Adrift and how to kind of navigate yourself through the game. Now, there's 3 things I need to tell you, very important 3 steps. It should be really quick to tell you this, but there are 3 things you need to understand when playing Embers Adrift. That you need to explore the area, you need to kill everything, and talk to everyone. Now, there are certain parts of the zones that are like group areas, there are certain parts of the things that you will find, but if you talk to everyone, you're going to find a quest. These quests will eventually lead you to everywhere in the zone. That's how quests usually work. And they also, it might send you to other zones. They also explore the area. You never know what you're going to find. There's going to be like, it's always kind of good to know your surroundings, because the map in the game doesn't really pinpoint where exactly you are unless you go to a fire. It will light up blue on the map. But at the same time, yeah, you really just explore everything, get a good feel, get a good understanding of the area around you to help yourself navigate. Also, when it comes to exploring, you also have a little compass, but just in case some people don't like to want to have the compass up there. There's some people like that, which is not a bad thing. You just know that Blupiter is always facing north. So the little blue planet in the sky, that's called Blupiter, or it actually has a name for it, but we just call it Blupiter. Blupiter is it's always facing north. It's always facing north. So sometimes when you go up to like a ember vein, or anywhere that has like a lot of ember in the area, your compass will actually start malfunctioning. So what you want to do is actually just, let's say you happen to be outside, can see the blue planet, just know that is always facing north, so it can help you kind of get away or get to where you need to go. But yeah, so basically, and also kill everything. You never know what you're going to be killing. You could be a name that you're going to be killing. Kill names, they drop really good gear, and they're really, really good to just farm out. Sometimes they have a loot table. Sometimes they'll drop something really rare. Depends on what you find. Also, some names, and if you do see a placeholder, they're going to have a little star icon next to their name. That's how you know it's a placeholder for the name. So when you kill that placeholder, of course, there's a chance for the name to spawn. And when you also kill the placeholders too, they're a little bit harder to kill sometimes, depending on which one you fight. But yeah, no, they're really cool. Kill those. You might get a name, get some nice loot. And like I said, talk to everyone, because you never know what quest you're gonna find. You never know what lore you're gonna find. Some even mobs, NPCs tell you kind of where to go next and kind of what to look for and stuff like that. So it just kind of gives you a little nice feel of the world. So that should be enough for my little quick tips on that. Just kind of getting started with Embers Adrift. So let's move on to questing and experience gain. Now, when it comes to the questing and experience gain in Embers Adrift, you need to understand one crucial thing. there are two types of quests in this game. There are normal quests that you get from talking to people, and then you get bulletin board quests. Normal quests, like I said, you get them from talking to people, talk around, or you might find an item that leads to a quest. And so just know that the normal quests are just normal quests. Now, bulletin boards are essentially like little mini like side missions. So like they're little like fetch quests. So you kill 10 deer, go back to the bulletin board, you turn it in, you get a little EXP. Now, I mentioned that bulletin boards give you EXP because normal quests do not give you EXP. Normal quests do not give you EXP. You normally get that through bulletin boards, or like the other way of killing things with the experience gain, by killing things. You kill things, they give you EXP. So the only thing that gives you EXP in this game is bulletin boards and killing things. That's it. Normal quests just give you really good loot, with the trade-off of not giving you EXP. They give you really good loot, they give money, and sometimes give you increased capacity for your Ember stones. And also your alchemy, your freaking magic in the game. You get that at the beginning. So definitely do that quest. It's in the Ember vein. So, but yeah, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, questing does not give you normal EXP. It doesn't give you any EXP, but the bulletin boards do. So bulletin boards give you EXP and also killing mobs. So that should be it kind of with the questing side of things. So let's move on to the dungeons and Ember veins, the thing that I just kept mentioning earlier. Now we're going to be talking about dungeons and Ember veins. Now, dungeons and Ember veins are the two kind of mini dungeon kind of group content in the game. They're the best places to get loot, best places to farm out certain items, best places to just kind of get what get you by, and also really great EXP if you go into the group side of areas. Dungeons and Ember veins also have solo, duo, or even group sides and stuff like that. So you can go into a big old circle on each side, and they, one could be one for solo, one for duo, one for group side. Group side drops the best loot, as you probably guessed it. Now, when you're gonna be as a new player, you're gonna be finding both a dungeon and an Ember vein in New Haven Valley. Now, dungeons also are really cool because they drop really good loot. I already mentioned that. But also, if you ever see a crafty raccoon in the open world or inside a dungeon, they drop keys. Now, these keys and these dungeons are meant for the dungeon. They'll kind of give you a name or kind of hint which dungeon it kind of goes to. But there's only one crafty raccoon that spawns in each zone, and they're tied to that dungeon that's kind of like in that zone or in that level range. And you go into the dungeon, you find these big old chests, you open it, and it has not only the loot pool of every single named loot, but they also have unique loot that's also inside these things. So if you get keys for specific dungeons, you shout inside the world chat like, hey, we're about to do a key run for CV1 or a key run for CV2, and these are like the dungeons inside the game right now. And Ember veins are moving, like they're kind of like portable dungeons, the portable mini dungeons, where the best way, if not the best way to find them, I like stutter there. The best way to find them is you kind of go up to the fire, you kind of like go to your Ember ring, and then you go to the little shrine that's right next to the Ember rings. Usually they're like little like lanterns putting on them, but basically little smoky like tree things, or a pot that's like turning around. And you go up to it, and when you just stand next to it, everything kind of darkens up, and you're gonna start seeing like purple swirls that are gonna hit the sky, or green swirls that hit the sky. Now, there's a two difference between those. So purple swirls is Ember veins. They are spiky and stuff like that. They have a little open middle part inside it. And when you walk in the middle of it, you enter the Ember vein. It's essentially a mini dungeon. Same thing, like I said, solo, group loots, and stuff like that. Then you also have Ember ruptures, which are the green little swirls that hit to the sky. And those are just spikes of ember that hit that come out the ground, and they turn any animal that's around there, when you have a chance of killing them, into ashen. And when ashen mobs die, they give you ember essence and stuff like that. But we'll get to that when we get to the alchemy section. But yeah, just kind of give you an idea what the differences are. And ember veins, you can enter into them. Ember ruptures are just everything around there turns ashen, stuff like that when you kill them. And then when they turn ashen, they basically come back to life, and then you have to kill them again. More EXP, by the way. Really great way to also farm EXP. So if you want to get into either one of those contents, they're both great. Dungeons are awesome. Ember veins are awesome. So hopefully you definitely get into one. Let's get into the next thing, which is the gearing and the stats, because we got to talk about the gearing and stats if you're going to be trying to farm out all this gear. So when it comes to gearing and stats in Embers Adrift, let's start with the gearing side. Gear in this game is very diverse in the idea of you can kind of build your character to kind of really match a stat. Like, so if you want to go all into positional, you want to go all into healing, you want to go into damage, you can do that in this game. And so there's different ways to kind of do that. Like, great example is like finding sets inside the game. So I'm gonna kind of hover over this one for a second. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Yeah, so but like I have the full Salted Cure set, and that's a plus 38 plus 10 healing. It's a really good set. And there's multiple sets in the game of Embers Adrift that you can build and you can collect, build into, and that will kind of be kind of the build you're kind of going for as you're leveling or as you get to higher levels. There's certain pieces of gear that will last you all the way to level 50, but it's just kind of finding the right gear for you. What do you want to build into? If I want to build into a DPS warden, or if I want to build into a range build warden, if I want to build, I keep saying warden, sorry, warlord. If I want to build into a healing warlord, you know, I can do all of that, you know. So it comes down to really what I want to build. Now at max level, there are a lot more tools and stuff like that, but we're kind of mainly just sticking to the beginner's guide. Now let's kind of go over the stats and what they kind of do. Now I actually should probably just go through every single one of them to kind of keep them fast, but you can actually hover over each one of these, and it will actually tell you what they do. Now there's a couple I do kind of want to explain ahead of time that are, I think, really good stats for anybody to really get into, and that's mainly Avoid. If you want to go into solo content, or if you are a tank, Avoid is really good. And when it says like 3 Avoid or 4 Avoid, that's just percentage wise. So if you have, like for me, I have I have 5%, I have 8% Avoid, but I also have 5% to Avoid. And so the more I stack into Avoid, the better and better it gets. So it's really fun, really good stuff. And as you see, like in the combat movement, you can see that, you know, when certain stats, you would see the X's on the side of these. They will tell you that these are combat stats right here. So when I have my weapon out, these all activate essentially. So anyway, hit. It's actually a really good hit. It's actually a really interesting one to actually talk about too. It is your crit basically, and it also your accuracy. So if you want to hit things and also hit them harder with crits and stuff like that, there you go. We've already talked about positional, but the idea of it is it kind of helps with your weapon bonuses and stuff like that for different ways you do for different sides. One-handed bonus of damage and stuff like that. Chemical, Ember, which believe it or not, they actually don't have any gear in the game right now that has mental, chemical, or Ember damage. We're assuming that they're going to be adding that when the caster class comes in the way future, because there's nothing else that uses that from my knowledge. I have not seen one piece of gear with that on. So hopefully, just throwing that out there. But yeah, but for new players, you're not really worried about that. You also have your resist stuns and stuff like that. You know, your physical debuff. Now, I want to also explain this too. There's physical debuff resistance and there's physical resistance. There's a difference inside each of them. So ones that give you physical debuffs, physical reduction, physical damage debuffs, you have a higher chance of resisting those debuffs, or in the sense of resisting in this game, it just makes it less. So that's not going to fully nullify you from the debuff, but it is going to essentially reduce the amount of how long it is on you. So if you, let's say you have a really high resistance on your character for like everything, you will have a high chance of resisting a lot of Ember damage, or if an Ember debuff hits you, it's going to be like, instead of 10 seconds, it'll be 5 seconds instead, or sometimes it's just like even just 2 seconds, you know. So the more you resist the ability, the less time it's going to be on you. So you're still going to be hit with the debuff, it's just going to be less time it's going to be on you. And also you have also, like, you know, your damage, your physical resist damage. So that means I take less damage, I take less mental damage, I take less chemical damage, I take less Ember damage. And control is your stuns, daze, movement, and confuse. These are just different stats in the game that essentially saying that, you know, you the less time you be stunned, the less time you're getting dazed, the less time you're getting the less time you're going to be on movement debuffs and stuff like that, less time you're going to be confused, which confuses a really annoying stat. So if you find confused gear, good job. But yeah, no, stamina regen, health regen, I think you guys get the idea. But threat modifier, if you're going to be a tank, this is going to be a really big one for you. is threat on growing from attacks or heals. So the more threat modifier you have, the better things you're going to get. So with that being said, I think that kind of is going to cover the gearing side. Now, if you guys have any more questions with that, I will go into a more in-depth guide in the future. So that's kind of what I want to add to this. So let's continue the video. All right, now that we talked about the gearing and the stats, let's go into professions. Now, I'm going to quickly get into this before we go any further with this. But professions, there are 9 professions in Embers Adrift, and you could choose up to 3 of them. And mind you, there's also 3 gathering professions and 6 crafting professions. So again, you could mix match, and you can get all 3 gathering. You can get all 3 of the crafting and stuff like that. You basically can do whatever the hell you want. You can mix match them, and also I forgot to mention this too. You can craft. Let's say you're level 1. You can craft all the way to level 50 with no limits. Like as long as you have the mats, you can have a character that's parked in the city that's just meant for crafting. So you just send it materials or buy materials, however the hell you want to do it, from the auction house or something like that, and you can get your character maxed out to level 50 as a level 1 in the game. You can get to level 50 crafting and stuff like that for each profession and stuff like that. There's no level requirement. There's no limit to it. Yeah, you just go balls deep into that stuff. Now we're talking about all those crafting, but what are the crafting professions? Let's get into that. So the 3 gathering professions are foresting, which you get wood, mushrooms, and plants and stuff like that. You get prospector, which is essentially you mine ore, get crystals and stuff like that. Hunter is essentially you skin things, you get leaves from that to make tea, and also you get bones, leather, and meat. Really great for like different professions. And the 6 crafting professions are armor smithing, which you craft armor, heavy armor, I should say, heavy duty armor and stuff like that. And shields, don't forget that too. Outfitter can craft like leather and stuff, like leather armor, light, medium, and light gear and stuff like that, like cloth armor and shit like that. Augments the whole thing. Weaponsmith can craft weapons, except daggers. That will be for another one we're going to mention a little bit later on. But weaponsmith can craft really good weapons. You get the idea. Weaponsmith. Woodworking can create banners for support classes, bows, crossbows, and the arrows and bolts. They can also craft like other things too, but yeah, they're really really great augments for them too. The things to help kind of boost up your damage or just like your kind of like utility of your entire weapons. So I think woodworking is really awesome too. Provisioner is like your all-around survival kind of profession. I keep want to say class profession. So provision creates like foods from meats, teas from the deer leaves and stuff like that. They can craft potions and stuff like that to help kind of with your survivability. They have a wider range of effects. Even same with the food. Food has different effects too, depending on which meat you use. You have torches, repair kits. They're essentially like utility profession. Like it really helps you. I'm a provisioner myself. I love provisioner. It's so fun. Then the last profession we're going to talk about is tinkerer. They can craft rings, necklaces. They can get into different kinds of augments. They can craft daggers. They can craft all throwing knives and stuff like that. They can craft a lot of the kind of like utility kind of based stuff, but also utility gear on top of it. So they're really cool. Tinkerers and stuff like that. They're really nice. So depending on which profession you kind of want to get into, all of them, I think, in my opinion, are actually really good. Some people will say one's better than the other, but I think they're all good depending on how you want to get into it. So this is a quick little in-depth for the professions. Let's move on to our last big topic, which is alchemy. The last thing we're going to be talking about on this list is alchemy. Now, alchemy is the magic system in the game. It is not your traditional magic system. It is essentially you're getting ember essence that you get from ashen mobs, and you essentially store it in your stone, and that stone has a capacity. You use that ember essence to essentially boost your abilities to have them do extra effects, more healing, more damage, more CC, the whole thing. They're essentially adding on to your current playstyle, and you got Alchemy 1, which is your normal stuff like that. But if you use 200 cast of your Alchemy 1 on a particular ability, you unlock that particular ability's Alchemy 2, which does even stronger effects, added bonus things, and blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. Now, how do you get alchemy? You get alchemy from 2 ways. In New Haven Valley, there's an Ember vein that's down there called the Crawling Barrels, aka the Ant EV, and you essentially go in there, and when you enter it, you go straight, and you'll see a little bag on the floor. Click that bag, and it will give you a quest to essentially get the items either from the solo or the group side. Just kill the ants until you end up getting all the stuff that you need, and then turn it into the one of the guys in the academy. And he will give you, when you complete the quest, he will give you an item and also bestow you alchemy. Now, with that being said, you can also just talk to him and say you haven't started the quest from going to the EV. You can talk to him and also get the quest, and he does a lot more of an explanation of what you're kind of getting yourself into, what is alchemy, the idea of it, and blah blah blah, where to go. You get the idea. You get the quest, you do the exact same thing, go into the EV, get your stuff, go back to him, and he will do that. Now, he's located in I don't know if I mentioned this already, in the academy in the city. So once you find the academy, talk to everybody in the academy. They give you really good quests in there. So yeah, so you learn some extra lore, and you also get to learn about the magic of Embers Adrift. Now that we're kind of done with that side of the list, let's go into the final other tips that we're going to be looking for. Now, when it comes to other tips to look for, I want to say it's probably best to group up in Embers Adrift. Embers Adrift can be soloed all the way to level 50 for those who say that you can't do it. Oh my god, no, you can. You can solo up to level 50, but I think I recommend that you can be in a group. Group EXP is actually increased. EXP is actually increased when you're in a group, and if you have a full level 6 party group, which by the way you can have 6 people in a party, you get bonus EXP. So you can go do, and you kill 3 chefs, they also give you more EXP, especially when they're close to your level. They also changed the gel recently to actually have more rewarding EXP for when the harder mobs you kill. So now you can go and kill red chefs, and chefs are basically the little difficulty. We learned that in the combat section. But yeah, that is the whole thing with Embers Adrift. Yeah, when you basically, the harder shit you find to fight, then the more EXP you get. Another thing I kind of want to mention is the auction house. It is right next to the bank in the main city, and it is your friend. Auction house loves you. Auction house needs you. Go look in the auction house. Go sell your rare items inside the auction house. It may be a small game, but people still buy this shit. They buy your materials. They buy your things. Just because it's a small game doesn't mean people won't use the auction house. Actually, the auction house has been booming recently. Even when there's 40 people online, the auction house is booming like crazy. So definitely use the auction house. Have fun with it. Enjoy yourself. Another thing when it comes to Embers Adrift that I kind of want to give my tips to is just be nice. This game is, again, a small niche game, small niche community, very tight knit, but be nice. Everyone's usually nice already. They'll help you out with some tips. Put in the world chat, ask a question, go to the Discord, ask a question. But this is the one game where you can actually just straight up just chat with people and have fun. This game is very group oriented. The group play is really fun. So definitely ask around, group up with people, be brave and start a group to get into a dungeon. And if you need help, again, ask questions. It's always okay to ask questions. All right, that should be the end of the video, guys. But if you have any further questions, either put it in the comment section or join me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Annoying Llama. I keep stuttering today, but twitch.tv/Annoying Llama. If you have any further questions when I stream, I usually stream every Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and I'm down to answer as many questions that you have. So again, I hope this guide helps you guys out getting into the game, kind of get a gist of an understanding. I will make I will make further in-depth guides about classes and what they do and stuff like that, what the kind of stat to kind of going for. But again, that will be for a future video. So with that being said, I will see you guys next time. Again, if you have any questions, put it in the comment section. And I wish the best for you guys. I hope you guys definitely enjoy your time in Embers Adrift and be the best llamas you can be and kick some goddamn ass out there. So, peace.